Alex.
Hi, Al.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi.
Hi, Mona.
Myrna.
I'm laughing. Sounds like we're saying, what was the program where they used to say goodnight to each other? The family up in the hills. Good night, John Boy. Good night.
The Waltons.
That's what it'll sound like.
Hi, Myrna.
Hi, Andrea, Shanatova.
Where are you? Can't see you. Come closer.
Hollywood Square.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Jean.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Hi, Mona.
Hi, Jean. Good to see you.
Hi, Sherry.
I just saw you this week.
Sherry.
Yeah, I know you did.
Sylvia,
Yeah.
we miss you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice. I have
Hello, Lydia. Wherever you are, I saw your. Oh, there's 2 pages of people. Oh, okay.
Hi, everybody. This is Maria.
Hi, Maria.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. Sorry, my camera is not working very well, so we're just gonna have to use that image for now.
That's quite all right.
Shana everyone.
Shana
Hi, Arlen and David.
Oh, hi, Roz.
Sherry, Andrea, Dan, Hal, Alan G, Gina,
Carolyn,
Ruth, and Jason, and Sally, and Larry. Susie.
Oh, there's Misty.
Hi, everybody.
Rosemary.
Hi, Sally. Hi,
Laurie.
Hi, Lori.
Lori.
Hi, Susie.
Amy, Adam, Josh.
Hi, Rabbi.
Hi.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
I'm Shana Tova, Susie. I missed you tonight. There was a lot of leftovers.
You'll leave them tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah, but everybody really, they got here really late, so I didn't think I'd be here in time, and I'm thrilled that I made it.
We're thrilled too.
But we're thrilled you made it too.
And Rabbi, thank you again. I hated to bother you, but
No, don't be
I
silly. Don't be
I
silly.
don't even know if they're going to go on, but at least they have the opportunity.
That's fine. That'd be great if they could.
Rabbi,
Yes.
Amy is going to try to join us tomorrow with Elliot since you're
Okay.
including him, but they may be in the middle of their own services since it's 1 o'clock there.
Yeah. Okay.
She said she'd try.
Where?
Not a problem. Hi, Mackenzie.
Hi.
You in? Yeah, you are.
Myrna, are you outside or inside?
Oh, I'm inside in my
Inside. You
my
look like there's
baking
Is that
cake.
Sari?
My
Yeah,
mummy
that's
cake.
me. Where's Ruth? Where are you, Ruth? I gotta find you.
Sherry. Hi, Sherry.
Sherry,
Why
Shana Tova.
Why is it that I can see some people and then I can't see them?
Because they're
There are,
paying.
there are 5 screens. You're gonna have to scroll.
There's an arrow.
There's an arrow on the right.
Oh, I
If
see.
you click it, it will take you to the other screens.
Because I'm so ignorant when it comes to these things.
Well, we're all learning.
Okay, now I see Sylvia's long hair. And Sherry and I are
There you go. See, now you
decide
can
who's gonna have terrible looking hair faster. I think I'm winning, Sherry.
Sylvia, I wouldn't have recognized you.
Really?
Hi,
Bobby.
Simon, recognize me.
I almost.
Myrna, you're a little
Hi,
dark. Myrna, you're dark. Can you lighten up?
Why am I
Hi, Sherry.
lighting up? No.
Okay,
Hi,
folks.
Ruth.
Ruth, I'm looking for you. Where are you?
Oh, there's
Lori.
Amy.
Sherry,
Oh,
Shana
Elliot.
Tova.
I'm looking for you. I can't find you.
Lori.
Find her? No, where did I go? So where did I go?
Oh, that's better. That's better.
Hi,
Where am I?
I'm
Mute
here.
everybody, please.
Oh,
Can
Oh,
I mute everybody?
I don't see me.
Rabbi, you're gonna expect us to mute ourselves.
Yes,
because You don't have
I'm
time
gonna
to
ask
mute
you to
100.
No, I can mute everybody.
Yeah,
Are we
can
ready to
start.
start?
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
7:30 sharp. That's what it says.
7:30.
Okay, all right. I just unmuted everyone. Rabbi, you have to unmute yourself.
Muted me too. Okay. So Shabbat Shalom v'Shana Tova. Before we get into the program, I just want to give you a few technical directions. So first of all, if you're having any problem with seeing things or hearing, you might think about turning off your video because that will enhance your Wi-Fi. And we do ask that you keep muted, except for at the end of the service, we're going to have, for the mourner's Kaddish, you're able to unmute yourselves. I want to also explain to you that the music you're going to see this year, we did not get the choir together to sing in a way that was unsafe. What we did was, luckily for several years, Morris Maduro videotaped our services. And so we are able to present you with Cantor Bob and the choir singing from those years, a couple years ago and the year before. So don't worry, don't think that they were singing in an unsafe way. And we're not just going to give you old videotape. It's been remastered and the audio has been enhanced by Jory Yarmoff. So hopefully this will be a good experience. Of course, this is a strange year. Never before have we had a year where we had to do our services online like this. And we're hoping that what we're going to offer you is something meaningful. And before we get into Rosh Hashanah, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the sad news today. America lost a great jurist and a great champion of women's rights with the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's been called the Thurgood Marshall of women's rights. And she was the second woman to be named to the US Supreme Court. She served for 27 years. She brought tears to President Clinton's eyes when, during the announcement of her Supreme Court nomination, she paid tribute to her mother, who had died when she was in high school. And this is what she said: "I pray that I may be all that she would have been had she lived at an age when women could aspire and achieve, and daughters are cherished as much as sons." In Jewish tradition, someone who dies on Rosh Hashanah is considered a tzaddik, a righteous person. Her memory is a true blessing. And let us take a moment of silence to honor her. Now, as sad as we are, let us embark on the new year of 5781 as committed to justice as she was. And I'm going to begin with a prayer called Start Fresh. Summer's gone, nights grow cold, except when you're in California and it's 102 degrees. These are the days of awe. The shofar blows with bread in hand down to the sea. We take time, give thanks, and cast our sadness free. That we may start fresh, that we may come clear, that we may know sweetness and peace throughout the year, that we may find love where we need it most, and open our hearts and hands and draw each other close, with safe social distancing, unfortunately. A day to fast and count the ways we've promised and fallen short. We meet each other's gaze, begin again. Life won't wait. Time turns and we return and walk on through the gates. Under the moon, a roof of trees, we bring in the harvest. Beneath the stars, we eat and sing for joy. Make ourselves strong. We'll reap what we've sown. May it last all year long. That we may start fresh, that we may come clear, that we may know sweetness and peace throughout the year, that we may find love where we need it most, and open our hearts and hands and draw each other close. Lori Magnus, who is the board representative for the sisterhood, is going to light our candles.
You need to unmute yourself, Lori.
The first mitzvah in the Torah is let there be light. So we are commanded in everything we do, be a menorah, a bringer of light. Live with honor, act with integrity, do your work with passion, and the radiance of your deeds will live after you. May our ideals burn bright, forever unextinguished, and may we live our lives like the flame we kindle, always stretching upwards, striving for the good, reaching for you.
Ollie, be quiet.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat ve'shel Yom Tov. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on Shabbat and this festival.
Thank you, Lori. By the way, if you want to just focus on the person who's speaking or singing or lighting candles, go to speaker view. If you want to see everybody, then go to gallery view. Here I am, one soul within this prayer community. Like those around me, I bring my own concerns and yearnings to this place, hoping they will find expression in the time-hallowed words of my people and in the traditions cherished by generations before me. The Shechecheyanu will be sung by our cantor, followed by the Kiddush, and then Tiku V'Chodesh.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyimanu v'higiyanu lazaman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei beri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachabar mikol ha'am ורוממנו מכל לשון וקידשנו במצוותיו ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה את יום השבת הזה ואת יום הזיכרון הזה יום תרועה זכר ליציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו וקידשת מכל העמים ודברך אמת וקיים לעד ברוך אתה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ מקדש השבת וישראל ויום הזיכרון Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. תקעו בחר שופר, בכסל יום חגנו, כי
Here I am, one soul within this prayer community. Like those around me, I bring my own concerns and yearnings to this place, hoping they will find expression in the time-hallowed words of my people and in the traditions cherished by generations before me. May I bring the best of my energies to these holy days, approaching this spiritual work with open heart and mind, sincerity, and sustained focus on the deep questions of this season. Who am I? How shall I live? Where have I fallen short? Where have I failed? This night, I take up the challenge of the days of awe, Cheshbon HaNefesh, a searching examination of my life, a moral inventory of my deeds, of my words, of my thoughts. This night, I take up the challenge of the days of awe. I search my life, and during the next 10 days, let me face the truth about myself and listen to your still small voice, taking comfort in your promise that I'm always free to change, released from staleness and routine. Let me know the joy of beginning again.
Hey, ani mimas. Nirash ונפחד מפחד. באתי לעמוד ולחנן, באתי לעמוד ולחנן, על עמך ישראל, אשר שלחוני. אבל בי שאינו כדאי והגון לכך. אבל בי שאינו כדאי והגון לכן אבקש ממך אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, Adonai, El Rachum Bechanun, Elohei Yisrael. Oyom v'norah. Eino Masliach Darki, Asher Anochi Holech Lamo Ulevakesh.
Eloheinu velohei avotenu ve'imotenu. Yehi ratzon shenizke levirchotecha. Vishnat hameshet alafayim v'sheva me'ot u'shmonim v'achat. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in the year 5781. Eternal God, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. We continue with the Baruch Hu, the call to worship.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed.
May we renew our words of prayer tonight, restore their luster, bring them to life. Let song and silence and shofar sounds awaken our souls. Our next blessing is Ahavat Olam, God's love for us through Torah, followed by the Shema, the watchword of our faith, and the Ve'ahavta as chanted by Carolee Jaspin.
El Chai v'Kayam, Tamid Yimlach Alenu L'Olam Vaed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hamari V'Aravim.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Thank you, Carolee. You have stayed long enough in this place, God said. Time to go forward. Turn your face to the future. Believe that you can cross this sea and survive. Inside you is a Moses. Within you, Miriam dances unafraid. Lift up your voice and sing a new song. The Israelites were confronted with a sea at the front, with soldiers from Egypt in the back. They took a step into the water and it parted for them, and they got to the other side to freedom. God redeems us every day, just as God redeemed us from Egypt. And when we got to the other side, we sang the Mi Chamocha. How amazing are you, God?
Yam difnei Moshe uMiriam zeyeli anu ve'yameru
Blessed One, you spread over us a canopy of peace, shelter of shalom over all Israel, your people, and over Jerusalem. And this is a prayer called Pandemic by Lynn Unger. What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling. Give up just for now on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has become clear. Do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise the world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live. The Kaddish is next.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת מסורת השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לאום אותי לעולם ביני בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת האיש שבת הנפש וביום השביעי שבת Likadash, Shemerabah. Israel, Bagav Isman Karim, Veimeru. Amen. Vipar Vidramam Vidnase. Chasadim Tovim בגבי הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות, ובהביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו Zero Moshe Magen Baruch Ata Adonai Magen Avraham Ata Gibor Lamodonai Mechayakot Arav Hoshia Moridata Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayeh Hakol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Mekayem emunato lishenei afar michamocha bagevurot umidomelach melech memit Masmiach Yeshua Michamocha Harachamim Zocher Yitzorah L'chaim Berachamim V'lemanat alachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol.
Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh ukedoshim b'chol yom yechalelucha selah. You are holy. Your name is holy. Seekers of holiness praise you day by day. Selah.
Amen.
moment now to think of those in need of healing, whether of body, of mind, or of spirit. We think of congregants and friends and family of congregants: Jonathan Davidson, Brenda Oppenheim, Kenny Hayes, Randy Rubin, Ben Henderson, Les Wilkerson, Rabbi Steve Robbins, Gloria Mangus, Steve Lux, David Kurland, Robin Kurland, Carol and David Allstat, Jan Judman, Emily Pasquarelli, Julie Lapidus, Irv Richards, Pamela Mangus, Barbara Brandt, David Lietman, Johnny Sikat, Aharon Pincus. And please feel free to add names in the chat. I may not be able to read all of them. I'll try to read some. Eddie Archibek, Patty Podner, Rokio Offstein, Misty Oppenheim, Ron Jones, Ruth and Sandra Landis, Robert Doctor, June Carpenter, Richard Scott, Casey McCarthy, Paul Grech Sr., Michael Sherman, Judy Dunbar, Amy Morton, Doug Hardy, Babette Cooper, Robert Helmbrecht, Sandy Stackler, Pauline and Jerry Geerlings, Sadie Guerrero, Lynn Yarmoff, Wayne Hinton, Edwina Lietman, Jack Howard, Kim Coe, Jesus Lopez, Lucy Ramirez. My background did not disappear, Jason. My computer died. That's what happens when you're doing things live. So I'm in Jordan's room. It's back up. Okay, I will join you in a moment. Rhonda Moss, Harel Altman, Judy Thompson, Eliud Martinez, Raul Camacho, Rabbi Bennett Herman, Ivan Brandler. Please join us silently in the Misha Berach.
El Karab, the
Birth is an extraordinary moment in our lives. Each birth is like a miracle. Each life has such potential. If you ask people what moment in their lives felt most connected to the divine, they'll usually say the birth of a child. So how do we understand this holiday of Rosh Hashanah, which celebrates the birth of the world? What do we mean when we announce before each shofar blast, Hayom Harat Olam? Today is the birth of the world. I would like you to envision with me what this moment of the world's birth might have looked like. We get a pretty good idea from the first chapter of Genesis, one of the readings for Rosh Hashanah. We learn that God created the world by uttering words. Let there be light, says God, and there was light. And so on for 6 days. But I want us to speculate about what God might have been thinking in beginning this project. Why did God create the world? Because by figuring this out, we can figure out what we are doing here. By the end of the first chapter of Genesis, I think it becomes fairly clear. God needs a companion, a partner in the work of creation. God is in need of, in search of man, to quote Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. So God creates the human being, the Adam, which really translates to earthling, because the word Adam comes from the word Adamah, which means earth in Hebrew. While everything else that God creates, God calls good. The human being God calls very good. Adam is created b'tselem Elohim, in God's image, tasked by God to, quote, fill the earth and master it, to till the land and tend it. Although God begins the work of creation, God wants us to continue that work. God needs our help. Now, this idea is very different from the other stories of creation in the ancient Near East. As Rabbi Ed Feinstein, the senior rabbi of Valley Beth Shalom in Encino, points out, the gods in those stories create a human partner in order to conquer the world together. Well, that is not what our God, the God of Israel, has in mind for us. God wants us to be a blessing to the world, to help perfect creation. God wants us to carry out God's plan for the world of oneness, of harmony, peace, and justice. For this, we were created. So in chapter 1 of Genesis, God creates this beautifully fashioned world and offers it to the human being as a gift. The rest is up to us to implement, to fulfill God's vision. But there's a big problem. In case you haven't noticed, human beings are flawed. Once God places God's dreams into our hands, we mess up. God's first attempt at finding a partner, Adam with his wife Eve, proves to be a disappointment in a pretty big way. Here are these human beings in this lovely garden with no worries of any kind. Everything is taken care of for them. But it's not enough. They have a mind of their own. God tells them that they can have anything they want in this vast, luxurious place. Absolutely anything, except for the fruit of one tree. So, of course, that is the precise fruit that they want. And the result is that they fall. God's first effort to find a worthy partner has failed. So God decides to destroy the world and its inhabitants, except for one person and his family, as well as some animals. Noah is described as Tam, perfect. And God hopes that this seemingly righteous person will be up to the job. Unfortunately, as soon as the flood is over, Noah gets drunk and ends up having some unfortunate sexual encounter with his sons. He doesn't seem to be able to handle the responsibility that has been placed on him. He's a little like the prophet Jonah, who tries to escape God's call by running away and hiding in the bowels of the ship. Second strike for God. God's third choice is Abraham, and the third time's the charm. God says to Abraham, "You shall be a blessing." Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch understands this as a command. To merit the promise of reward, you must live so as to be a blessing to the world. Abraham is righteous indeed. Yes, he is flawed. Remember, he lies about his wife being his sister when they flee to Egypt during a famine. He also obeys Sarah and banishes his son Ishmael and Ishmael's mother Hagar, leaving them alone in the desert. But Abraham shines when it comes to demanding justice. He proves ready to confront God, to speak truth to power when God intends to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham is outraged. How can God punish a whole city if there are innocent people within it? And God relents. God allows a human being to call God to a higher ethical path, to remind God of what real justice in the world is all about. Rabbi David Hartman explains that it is only with Abraham that God is willing to give up some of God's power in order to truly share responsibility for history with human beings. This is the covenantal relationship that God establishes with Abraham. Both God and Abraham, and thus we as Jews, are empowered to uphold morality. Now, the Torah reading for tomorrow morning, the Akedah, or the binding of Isaac, seems to contradict everything I have said so far. Here, God commands Abraham to sacrifice his own son, Isaac, and Abraham is prepared to obey without question. Isn't God's request the epitome of injustice, the opposite of ethics? Why doesn't Abraham speak up here? Isn't it appalling that Abraham is such a fanatic that he's ready to slaughter his son to demonstrate his faith in God? And what kind of God is this? Is this the God we want to worship? Is this the God with whom we want to partner? It's a complicated story with hundreds of interpretations. I frankly don't think that the story is meant to be taken literally. One possibility is that we might see the story as about Abraham's willingness to sacrifice not his son, but his self-interest, his ego. This is a story about Abraham's willingness to follow God's righteous path for no personal reward, for no personal agenda. Because after all, sometimes aren't we unwilling to stand up for what is right because we might lose something of value, a job, a friendship? Rabbi Feinstein introduces another very powerful interpretation. Picture the scene in the Torah. Abraham, his arm raised, the knife lifted above Isaac. Abraham is about to plunge the knife into his son's chest. At the 11th hour, God sends an angel to stop him. The angel has to repeat Abraham's name twice because Abraham is so intent on following through with the slaughter. Now, this is where the midrash or the interpretation picks up. When God sent the angel to restrain Abraham, it's not that Abraham did not hear the angel, it's that he refused to listen. Why? Abraham tells the angel, God himself ordered me to sacrifice my son. It's up to him to rescind the order. And so God himself comes to retract the commandment. But Abraham wants to continue. With the knife at the throat of his son, he begins to argue with God. I swear I shall not leave the altar, Lord, before I speak my mind. Speak, says God. Did you not promise me that my descendants would be as many as the stars in the sky? Asks Abraham. Yes, I did promise you that, God responds. And whose descendants will they be? Mine? Mine alone, Abraham asks. No, says God, they will be Isaac's as well. And didn't you also promise me that they would inherit the earth? Yes, I promised you that as well. Well then, my Lord, says Abraham, I could have pointed out to you before that your order contradicted your promise. I could have spoken up. I didn't. I contained my grief and I held my tongue. In return, I want you to make the following promise, that when in the future my children and my children's children throughout the generations will act against your law and against your will, you will also say nothing and forgive them. So be it, God agrees. Let them but retell this tale and they will be forgiven. Wow, what a lot of chutzpah. Abraham tells God that God broke God's promise to him. Having promised him descendants through Isaac, God's command to kill Isaac means that that promise cannot be fulfilled. By holding his tongue and obeying God anyway, Abraham extracts a vow from God. In return for his obedience, Abraham demands that God forgive God's children when they mess up in the future, because God messed up first. And God agrees. And that is the basis for forgiveness during the high holidays. As Jews, we are meant to speak truth to power. We are meant to stand up for what is right, even if it means standing up to God. Because after all, a partner is not an unthinking servant. We are in a covenant with God, which the theologian Walter Brueggemann compares to a dance. Sometimes God leads, sometimes we do. It was for this that we were created.
Avinu Malkeinu, Ein Lanu Melech Ela Ata. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, you alone are our sovereign. Avinu Malkeinu, Rachem, Lemancha, Rachem Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, for your sake, show us mercy. Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Imanu Lema'an Shemecha. Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, shalach refuah shlema l'cholei amecha. Avinu Malkeinu, bring healing and wholeness to the ill among us. Avinu Malkeinu, kara ro'ah gazar dinenu. Avinu Malkeinu, allay the harshness of the decree against us. Avinu Malkeinu, kotvenu b'sefer geula v'shua. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption and renewal. Avinu Malkeinu, zachrenu b'zichron tov lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, remember our goodness and call it to mind. Avinu Malkeinu, aselo ma'ancha v'hoshi'enu. Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake and save us. Avinu Malkeinu, shema kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, chamo aleinu ve'al olaleinu ve'tapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, Rabbi Israel Salanter once spent the night at a shoemaker's home. Late at night, he saw the man working by the light of a flickering candle. "Look how late it is," the rabbi said. "Your candle is about to go out. Why are you still working?" The shoemaker replied, "As long as the candle is burning, it is still possible to mend." For weeks afterward, Rabbi Salanter was heard repeating the shoemaker's words to himself. As long as the candle is burning, it is still possible to mend. As long as the candle burns, as long as the spark of life still shines, we can mend and heal, seek forgiveness and reconciliation, begin again. I'd like to introduce our wonderful president, Amy Pearlstein.
Shana Tova. Good evening to all of you. It is an understatement for me to say that Temple Bethel has had a deep impact on my life. I've been here to celebrate births, birthdays, and B'nai Mitzvahs. I've been here to witness conversions as we've welcomed new members into our faith, including my own. I've been here to lend support to those suffering a loss or those going through a tough time. Every week we have something to celebrate, and every week we pray for those who need healing. I never regret being here. When I think about what I've witnessed, I think about the positive impact our temple has had on all of us. I ask you today to take a personal moment and reflect on those impacts in your life. Maybe it's thinking about B'nai Mitzvahs and Carolee's beaming smile. Maybe it was the onegs after services to spend time with others. Maybe it was the rabbi's healing words when you needed them or when you didn't think you needed them. There's no denying that we have all been thrown a curveball with this pandemic, and as a reaction, we have sheltered in place, halted travel plans, started using Instacart and Postmates more than ever, continued to wear masks and socially distance ourselves from others. We have used Zoom to celebrate birthdays or just to chat. We have probably read more books, put together more puzzles, and watched more TV and Netflix than ever before. And although I have been socially distant, I appreciate the weekly Shabbat services that have helped me to connect. I hope you have had this opportunity as well. As your temple president, I would like to extend my gratitude to everyone who leads or serves on a committee, because with your help, our community is strengthened. Thanks to Elise, Diane, Susan, and recently Andrea for helping our temple run so smoothly since this pandemic began. I want to thank the board of directors and executive committee who have met more frequently than ever to discuss the implications of this pandemic and adjustments that have had to be implemented as a result. We created our own COVID task force led by Jason Winston. This group continues to meet and respond to changes as we understand more and more about COVID-19. I'd like to extend the deepest gratitude to Rabbi Singer, who has led us through quite the adjustment of worship. She continues to inspire us with her dedication to fostering meaningful spiritual engagement in our community. Additionally, collaboration with our cantor Bob and other musicians for weekly Shabbat services have been the bridge connecting us together. With regards to high holidays this year, Rabbi Singer, Cantor Bob, Morris, and Jory have been working for months behind the scenes to create meaningful services. Thank you all very much. To be quite transparent, our temple is facing some financial challenges as we are now looking at a deficit of about $13,000. The impact of the two churches not being able to hold services inside of our building has been tough, considering it was a major source of income. In addition, our TBE CDC closed down in the middle of March in response to the spread. They were just recently able to open to a much smaller group of children and operating staff, which has impacted the amount that they can donate to us. As a result, we will need to continue to make upgrades to our grounds to ensure that we are providing what is recommended to be as safe as possible. For high holidays this year, we are asking for pledges to help replenish our general fund for PPE equipment, additional air purifier systems, and upgrades to our HVAC system. We know that these are hard times for many. However, we again thank you in advance for your continuing support at whatever level is feasible. In closing, there are 4 descriptors that stand out to me regarding Temple of Bethel. Number 1, services. Even though Zoom is the way we do it now, when you hear the music and the congregational voices and you wrap yourself in prayer, it's the emotional equivalent of taking a deep breath. Number 2, education. Take the time to investigate an adult ed or Torah study session. There is something here for everyone. You just might have to look. Number 3, giving back. There are so many options we have to repair the world, tikkun olam, and we do so not because it's an obligation. We do so because it's who we are. Especially during these challenging times, Gemilut Chasadim, acts of loving kindness, they remind me of how deeply we provide for one another. Number 4, family. We've tried hard to create a diverse congregation, but diversity comes in all shapes and sizes, thought, and opinion. How great it is that we can have a stimulating, vibrant, intelligent, and respectful dialogue, even when we don't agree. Our clergy, staff, and leadership are doing everything possible to ensure that we remain the central address for Judaism here in Riverside. Shana Tova. May we all be inscribed for a good year.
Thank you, Amy. We continue with the Aleinu.
Aleinu, 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 Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גאולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגוי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ובשבתו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומי, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, ידעת היום בהשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, והארץ מתחת, אין עוד, אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והאדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We take a moment now to think of those who are no longer with us. May their memories be for a blessing. And of course, we mention Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who passed away today. We're observing Shloshim for Jeff White, brother of Sandy Friedman, and for Ollie V. Hayes, uncle of Kenny Hayes. If anyone would like to add a name for first 30 days, first year of mourning, please do so in the chat. Gary Ferris, John Alfrevic, Helen Iniquez, Scott Morey, Susan Jones, Tom Johnson, Robert Regalado, Mardell Taylor, Gail Tennyson, Tom Fischler, Bert Rosner, Sam Newhouse, Mary Ellen Steria, Sam Partouche, Elizabeth Sutterberg, Adele Lucas, there's Werner Kopel, and Arnie Geller. Ted Hertzberg, or Hertzberg, sorry. Halleck Diaz, Reverend Jane Carl, Bert Brody, Dr. Bob Levy, Steve Gerhardt, Jillian Van Gelder, Joni Loveridge, Robert Berlin, we're observing yard sites this Shabbat for Henry Ehrlich, Jack Gersh, Dorothy Kurland, Richard Ortiz, Louis Tarmo, Teresa Tyre, Barney Bauman, Lee Siegel, Abraham Herman, Buell Perkins, Celia Oringer, Morris Kirshner, Florence M. Halpert, Rosa Scherer, Molly Gordon, Minnie B. Tour. And we add Julie Eliason. Any other yard sites? And of course, we think of those who perished in the Holocaust and have no one to say the mourner's Kaddish. And we add Jabin Eli Broach, Paul Lewin. Now, I invite you to unmute yourselves for the mourner's Kaddish if you would like to do that. Yikadal, Kadash, Rabba.
Yidrak, Vayishtabach, Bahar, Ramam, Vayit Nase, Vayitadar, Shemei, Kudisha,
Elamim,
Shivata, Shivata, Venechamata, Anma, Imra, Amen. Yeshua, Amin, Shemaya, Vimramav, Kuya, Shalom, Israel,
the source of peace and peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved. As together we say,
Amen.
Amen.
I'm going to ask you, please mute yourselves again, and we're going to conclude with Adon Olam. So there are many, many thanks that are in order, and tomorrow you will see all of the thanks that we owe so many people. But tonight I would like to particularly point out Carol Lee for the Ve'ahavta. Thank you, Carol Lee. Cantor Bob for returning for his encore performance as our high holiday cantor, and many other services that he's performed. And of course, a giant thank you to Morris Maduro and Jory Yarmoff, who spent untold hours editing video, enhancing the audio, and God knows what else. I mean, they really are geniuses. So thank you so much. And Cantor Bob would like to say a few words.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Rabbi. It turns out that, oh, look at that. I should enhance my video. There we go. Yeah, I thank everybody. It was very, very much, a lot of hard work. Those virtual choir that you saw with Heal Us Now, thank the members who participated in that. We did 2 other pieces of music written by our congregant Elliot Levine, who is in Nantucket serving as cantor this evening. And again, a hearty, good, sweet New Year to everyone from both Barbara and me. Thanks to Morris Jory. Choir members, didn't realize you were singing this year, but they didn't have to do any choir practices. They didn't have to hear me scream at them this year, which is a wonderful thing. So again, thank you very much. Gee, I look different this year than I did 2 years ago, didn't I?
You look younger. Okay.
Oh, yeah, right.
So what I would like to suggest is it's very, very hard for 130 people to talk if we unmute everybody. So here are a couple things we can do. One is in the chat, you could put in your wishes for the new year. And the other thing I can do is I can break you up into breakout rooms and you can hang out with a few other people and talk. So I'm going to set up breakout rooms. If you don't want to join, you can go ahead and ignore it and you'll stay in this main room. But if you choose to, then you can talk to a few other people. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Here we go. I'm going to make 10 rooms. And you can choose to say, yes, I want to join a room.
want to be in breakout room 5.
People are just chilling out.
I'm back. We're back.
Okay, I think there was a reason you were muted. That's Clarissa's screen.
Hey, Miss Carissa. Hello? Where was anyone?
Leave room.
No.
Leave room. Nobody wants to see the.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Carolee. Shana
Okay.
Tova.
See you tomorrow morning. Amy,
Yes,
you can hear me?
I can.
Amy, that speech was wonderful.
Thank you.
I don't know how to use the chat as well. It comes up, doesn't say Carolee, it says me, which is really strange. But anyway, it was great. I love the fact that we are the central area for for Judaism in Riverside.
Thank you.
You rocked it, Pearlstein. You rocked it.
It was really good.
It was awesome.
Thank you, guys.
I'll see you all tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Love you. Bye.
I heard a lot of compliments about your talk, Amy.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So
Good night,
I'll
everyone.
see all of you tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow. Yep.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night. Holly, stop.